Hey YouTube, this is Jaden Storm coming at you for the first time in a long time. In this video, it's going to be covering a lot of things, guys. First off, I don't know how to start out. This is going to be a long video. I will warn you ahead of time. I've been gone for a while. I know I've used the excuse I get busy, and I hate that I keep using that excuse, guys. I really, really, really do. But the truth is, guys, I really do have a lot going on. I still have 2 jobs I work. I go to school, and I'm not going to school right now. I'm currently being a teacher's assistant this quarter to help pay off some of my loans. So that has been taking up a lot of my time along with work. Also, guys, you might be able to tell from my voice, or maybe not since I haven't done videos in forever. This whole month, I've had just a long stretch of feeling like crap, to where I actually was almost admitted to the hospital because of my allergies. But I got the flu really bad and I was sick for about a week, and I had to deal with that, dealing with some family stuff, and then also I was gonna make this video about a week ago, and or maybe not a week, it was maybe 4 or 5 days ago. My timeline, guys, has been completely thrown off. So this video, like I said, it's gonna be a long, because I'm gonna be explaining quite a bit, but I also am dealing with a very close friend of mine named KJ. His brother committed suicide I think it's now been 4 days ago, maybe 5, and I've been dealing with that. His brother wasn't, my closest friend in the world. We knew each other. We went to school together. I was close to him, sort of, but I'm more close to his brother, so it was really hard for me to deal with, because this is now the 3rd time I've had to deal with something like this, and it sucks. Being a pillar for my friend, and it's just, I've had so much going on, guys. I just didn't have the energy to devote to Vanguard. And also, it was kind of a down period for me finally, because I literally have been going, I was hitting Vanguard really hard, and I don't regret any of it. I love Vanguard, and I'm going to continue to do videos for you guys. So don't think this is a video of me telling you, I'm not doing these anymore. That's not it. I'm not going anywhere. I still love Vanguard to pieces. I've tried to stay as up to date as I can. I have lots of new deck profiles for you guys, because since last time I saw you, there's been a new set that's been released, and all kinds of stuff. But, with being sick and school and work and my friends and my friend situation, with that tragedy, and then my, helping out my grandma with her stuff, because she's going through some health things at the moment. I literally have been spinning so fast. I literally, minus the day that I get to go to my locals, I haven't had any free time, except today. Today was my first day off from work in 11 days, minus, my Saturday. I even worked last Sunday, and, Sunday is supposed to be the day everyone gets off, but, so I've just been completely exhausted. I just haven't had much time to do much of anything. And I'm very, very sorry, guys. I hate that I've been so far gone, talking to you guys, making videos for you guys, because I really enjoy doing it, and I hate the fact that, that I feel like I'm making an excuse to you guys, even though it is a legitimate one, that I do. When I say I've been busy, it's not just me making something up. It's the truth. I really do stay busy. Life is a bitch at times. I'm pretty sure some of you will understand that, and hopefully, I'm hopeful that you guys will understand that, and I'm going to continue to do videos for you guys. I hope you, understand that. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I don't want to get into too much of that, but if you have any other questions, I'm an open book, guys. I've never hidden anything from you. If there's something you want to know, just simply ask me. Um, First off, I know this is not giving you a lot ahead of time, but I will be traveling to Fort Worth, Texas for the ARG event being held there Sunday, this upcoming Sunday, with my team. I will be there, so if you do see me, do come up to me, say hi. If you want to play a casual game, trade, talk, beat around the bush, shoot the breeze, whatever slang you want. I'm looking forward to seeing whoever's there. I will be there, so feel free to come say hi. I would love to see some of you guys again. Always great to see you guys. So if you're going to be at the ARG event in Fort Worth, be sure to look for me. I will be wearing this exact hat that you see, and I will be wearing a red shirt, so I'm not that hard to find. So if you do see me, please come say hi. I would love to see you guys, and it will be great to finally be able to get back into, a little more just personal time with friends. Because one thing that, guys, is not all my friends really know about everything that's been going on in my life, and the ones who do watch my channel videos, they're gonna probably say, why didn't you tell us your friend was, going through all this? My worst quality, and this is kind of just probably my worst quality that I have, is that I do not really talk about my feelings at first. I kind of just bottle it up and just try and ignore it. And even though that is not, the most mentally healthy thing to do, that's sometimes just what I do, just because I don't like dealing with a lot of negative things at once, so I kind of just keep it to myself, and I get it under control enough to where I don't, back in high school, whenever I was having, a lot of things happen, I turned to, let's say, unhealthy vices and just leave it at that. I don't do that anymore. What I do now is I dive into hobbies. Like this morning, I went and played golf with my grandfather. That's a vice. Vanguard, it's a vice. But they're what I like to classify as healthy vices, not unhealthy. I'm gonna be now diving back into this to maybe regain some of, my sanity that I've lost over the last month. But anyway, guys, I hope you all had a happy holidays. Now I want to address my contest. There's a couple of contests that I never got you guys prizes because, again, life happened. I got busy. If I owe you a prize, please email me so I can get that taken care of. I've got my taxes done, and that's the first thing that I'm going to be doing after the ARG event this week. So if you do get in touch with me, regardless what the prize was, is if you want, the new set, then I'm going to do that. If you want, anything past, just let me know. So if you did win, I think I'm behind November and October, believe it or not, and that really pisses me off. But if I owe you a prize from November, or I think maybe I did take care of October, but if I owe you a giveaway prize, please let me know, because I got behind on that, and I hated that I did. Please get in touch with me so I can get that taken care of for you guys. Please do that. Next, I already mentioned the thing about the ARG. So, as for a trade binder update, guys, my trade binder has been bouncing all over the place. When I was sick, one thing that I did was I actually took my trade binder and I kind of shredded it down a little bit, because there was a lot of things in my trade binder that really wasn't for trade anymore, so I got myself another book. And what this book, guys, is actually it's starting to become kind of like my personal stuff that I just don't want to trade. There's some things in here I wouldn't mind getting rid of, but a lot of it is just personal things like that I just want to keep, or things that I want to, like, a joke between me and my friends is I really have way too much Kagero shit. But eventually I'm gonna have to get a Kagero binder. This isn't a joke, but anyways, so I'm going to eventually get another trade binder up for you guys. Probably that's going to be after ARG. One of the things I'm going to mainly do is go to the vendors and try and pick up some more shit for the book. And then I'm going to also get a couple more boxes of 17 for stuff literally for the binder. So that's going to be done. If I owe you a contest prize, I'm sorry that I've been away. I'm sorry that I've been real busy, but please email me again and tell me what I owe you so I can get that to you. Second, if you're going to be at the ARG in Fort Worth, please come up and see me and say hi. I'd love to see you guys or even play a game. And third, guys, I'm just sorry that, I've been away. I'm going to get back to doing what I love doing, which is making videos for you guys and talking Vanguard. Now, for the second half of this video, I'm going to be doing kind of a meta discussion because the meta has changed a lot since the last time we talked. So I thought instead of me, just sitting here and, talking, rambling for another 20 minutes, I thought we would talk about all the new decks that are out and kind of like what the meta is and kind of how I have like a lot of cards here. I'm just going to talk about a lot of different decks and how the decks can still be played in the meta. And just kind of like what you're going to see. So if you are going to be going to the ARG in Fort Worth, this might help you. So I'm going to just jump straight into this. I'm going to try and give every deck its fair share of time. So hopefully this does good for, a little bit of all of y'all. So anyway, let's just jump straight into this. So the first deck that I want to talk about is Genesis. Now, this should be a Yggdrasil CEO, but my Yggdrasil stuff, it's with a friend right now who's borrowing it. This deck is not dead, guys. There are some people who believe that the CEO Yggdrasil deck, it's just no longer viable, and that's, to me, is laughable. I think the CEO Yggdrasil deck is still viable. Now, the main problems with this deck is pushing it, because there's 3 starters that are mainly ran with the deck, and it is the Grade 3 Searcher, Prayer Angel, or Amenho Akari, which you saw with Minerva decks. Now, the only problem is, if it's a Grade 3 Searcher, it serves one purpose, getting you your Grade 3, whether that be, some people like to still mix Minerva in with their Yggdrasil decks. Me, personally, I played Nyx with mine. If you want to go check out my deck profile, you can probably find it real easily. Then Prayer Angel and Amenho Akari, the problem with those 2 starters is it became an instant target when it's on the board, because it would go from your Vanguard circle normally to right back behind your Vanguard. Well, if you were playing against Kagero, Narukami, Blaster Revengers, or anything that could snipe back row units, they're going to kill that card, and that puts a pretty big void on your board because it takes away your ability to soul charge. Now, that also then gives you to where the only way you can soul charge is through, manual effects like Freya or the Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 3 when it hits, or Soul Charge 3 when she hits. I can't think of her name right now, but that was a major problem with the deck, and also if you push the Genesis CEO deck real hard, real quick, and you get them to 4 damage before they even Legion, and you're sitting at 0 to maybe 1 damage, CEO really isn't a threat. So if they did try and push out a board, you can just take away their board by taking out their creatures or their units, and it was really it's tough for that deck to come back. But, there are ways this deck it still can be good. It just has to play a little bit slower. I've seen 12 crit versions. I've seen draw decks, or draw versions. Mine, I think, was a good balance. I think my last trigger lineup was 6 crit, 3 stand, 3 draw, 4 heal. But, you could do all kinds of things with the deck. It was kind of just, how you wanted to play with it. But I think the CEO Yggdrasil deck is still really good. Being able to have a Vanguard that can swing for 40 plus real easy, carrying an extra crit, and having a Glory Maelstrom effect skill is pretty evil, to where your opponent can't not drop the easy Nullify to get rid of it, where they have to manually guard it, because when you try and manually guard something that big, it can lead to basically you just having to take it. So the CEO Yggdrasil deck is still a threat. It just has to be played a little bit different. So if you are still playing the CEO Yggdrasil deck, I would classify this as a solid tier 1.5 deck. It's not It's not the best deck by any means, and it's the reason it's a little bit lower is because if you can push them really hard, really quick, the deck has problems. But it is very good if the person who's playing against it doesn't know how to play against it and gives them time to set up. That's really dangerous. So, you know, advice to any player that can retire units, you want to take out that starter as quickly as possible. That really hurts them a lot. And any effects that they gives them the ability to soul charge, you want those off the board as quick as possible. So anyway, CEO Yggdrasil, still very good deck. I would definitely consider this deck still a threat, so do not take it lightly. The next deck that I would like to talk about is the Shadow Paladin Witches. Now, this deck kind of got it was kind of shoved on us really quick. You know what? One thing I wish Bushiroad didn't do is give us 3 trial decks, 2 extra boosters, all on one release date. I personally was not a fan of that. I didn't like it because it kind of made just the extra boosters cards worth a lot more money than they should have been. I think she was at one point $50, and that's ridiculous. I mean, now don't get me wrong, Fianna is an amazing card when played right. Now, there is something I want to clear up right now because there's a lot of misunderstanding with this card. It is not that hard to understand, and I don't understand why so many people try and bend her text to their liking. It's very simple. You counterblast 2 when you're in Legion. Doesn't have to be the turn you perform Legion, you just have to be in Legion. You counterblast 2. Your opponent reveals the top 10 cards of their deck. You select 2 of their rear guards. Rear guard circles. You select 2 rear guard circles with rear guards in them. Out of the 10 cards they reveal, they select 2 of those triggers and replace those units. That's it. That's what you do. It's that simple. I've heard everything from A to Z, and I don't understand why it's so complicated. Counterblast 2. Your opponent reveals the top 10 of their deck. You select 2 of their rearguard circles with rear guards in them, and they take 2 of the triggers out of the 10 they revealed and replace those rear guards. Just like that. So, now, but as far as this deck goes, it is very linear, because it really can't do anything unless your opponent has grade 0s on the field. Now, that being said, that does not mean that you should consider this an easy matchup. I think Witches are a solid tier 2 deck. But the problem is, once you're out of counterblasts, this deck is kind of down. This deck is kind of done. It can't really do anything else. I think Fianna is the first that you should ride, and then you should go into the other witch, Reyes, and use Reyes to finish your opponent off. But that's how I play the deck. If you want to see a deck profile of this is also on the channel. You can go check it out. But I enjoy Witches. I think they're a fun deck. I think they don't get enough respect. But it is a fun deck to play. It's just, like I said, very linear of a deck. It doesn't have a lot of options. But it is good at what it does, and that's wrecking formations and screwing with your opponent's column numbers. So, Witches, solid tier 2 deck. So it is what it is. So the next deck that I want to talk about is Musketeers. Now, Musketeers is it's Neo Nectar, and I have said a lot about Neo Nectar in the past. I've said I don't think Neo Nectar was introduced to the game the right way. I think if they wanted to introduce Neo Nectar into the game, they should have put him in set 6 or 7, not set 5, when you got into set 5 for either the End, Majesty, or Overlord. Those were the 3 that you were going after. You weren't going in that to go after Neonectar. And if you were one of the few that were, okay, well, 85% of the people weren't. I think it's fair to say maybe even 90. But Neonectar, as I say that, do not misunderstand me here. This clan is not to be messed with. It is like Gold Paladin, but a little different. It creates advantage and recycles. That's what Neonectar has always been, is building a field, building a board presence, or gaining power based off the amount you have on your board. That's why this deck is what it is. Now, it's by no stretch tier 0, you know, in my opinion. But just because a deck isn't the top out there right now, doesn't mean that it's not a threat. In my opinion, I think Musketeers are solid tier 1.5. And the reason, you could even say they're tier 1 if they're in the hands of the right player, because the deck generates advantage very quickly for almost nothing. That's why Neonectar is so good. It's basically, it's sometimes laughable if you watch a good Neonectar player play, because they can just build a field out of nothing. And this deck can swarm you quick. By turn 2, if the player knows what they're doing, you can be looking at 3 attacks and a full field. That's pretty evil. Now, you just have to know how to combat this, but Neonectar is definitely a threat that you should be looking out for. It is going to only get better with a future trial deck for this, and support with Stride coming out. And Stride's going to be here, you know, pretty quick. So, Neonectar is not going anywhere. It is going to get better as time goes on. But this clan right now, it is not to be messed with. It is going to be out there. It is going to be scary. So if you do come across a Neonectar player, Neonectar deck, do not turn your nose up at it and think you have an easy matchup, because this deck generates a lot of power and a lot of field build. So if you do come across it, make sure you are ready for a fight. So, Next, we're going to talk about Revengers. Now, yes, that is a Legion Rare Abyss and Blaster Dark that I have absolutely no use for. This is actually in my trade book for trade, so if you're going to be at ARG and you're interested in this, come find me. Excuse me, guys. I'm going to say this as nice as I can. I am not a fan of Abyss. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it's cool, you know, but I have so many problems with this card because it's limited, and its cost is actually very, very high. There are so many restrictions on this card because, okay, you can only use him the turn you Legion. So that means you will not have access to Legion until you are ready to commit to using his skill. You also have to Counterblast 2 and sack 3. So it holds the same cost as the original Phantom Blaster Dragon, but also with Legion. That's pretty much what it is. It's Counterblast, because if you remember, I actually have it here in my Do Not Trade book. Here it is. The original Phantom Blaster Dragon. Counterblast 2. Choose 3 of your Shadow Paladin rear guards and retire them. It holds the same cost. Now, their abilities are different, but he holds the same cost, and it just... I mean, it is what... I mean, it's not a bad deck. I'm not saying it's not, you know. I just don't like all the things they put in the way of this card. I honestly think I would be okay with the Counterblast 2 sack 3 if he could use his skill any turn. Now, you know, some people are like, well, that's a little too overpowered, but you know what, I'm sick of hearing that. But, I mean, I appreciate, you know, Revenger decks. I love Raging Form. That's my favorite Shadow Paladin deck of all time. But now this deck is still, you know, very much, you know, a part of the meta. Now, I'm not going to discuss the Thingsaver Abyss deck because Thingsaver Abyss, in my opinion, is, if you don't hit that Wingull Brave skill, you lose. So, I really don't consider that deck Tier 1 or even Tier 0. I consider that what I call a fun deck. I know it did very well in Japan, but it's just not... I don't know. I mean, I might eventually do my version of the deck for you guys, but I wouldn't hold my breath. But Revengers, they're still a thing, you know, but I just don't... I honestly would classify them as Tier 1, I guess. You know, just for the simple restanding factor, that alone is keeping them in Tier 1 status, but you have to really have a lot of practice with this deck in order to make it work. I don't consider this deck, you know, one of the best decks out there. It is one of the better decks because it has the restanding factor, but it is a threat if you don't know how to play against it. But Phantom Blaster Abyss, or the Revenger Abyss deck, it is still out there. You're possibly still going to see this at ARG. So if you do come across it, you know, best piece of advice is just guard early. You know, just make sure that you don't let them build up a field. Try and get rid of their Judge Bow if you can. But this deck is still good, guys, so I'm not saying it's not, so please do not misunderstand me. It's just not as good as I wish the deck... I just wish they would have made the Legion a little bit different, you know, but, you know, that's... I mean, I could nitpick at this all day, but I wish that it was just a little bit different. Even though, technically, I do own 3 Abysses and 3 Blaster Darks, you know, but anyway, it is a good deck. It's still out there, solid Tier 1 deck for the restanding ability, you know, so do not snooze on it yet. The next deck that I'm going to talk about is Metalborgs. Now, Metalborgs, Deep Lease, my friend Christian's forte. Metalborgs, in my opinion, I'm trying to think how to put this. The deck is good. I'm not denying that. Metalborgs are a good archetype. I'm sorry. The only problem is I don't like him in the early game. I really don't. Because, I'm sorry, if I'm at 1 damage, I really don't care that I don't really care to guard it that early. You know, I like Dryon in the early stages of the game more. That's just me. But, you know, Sinbuster for the drawing effect is very good. I think this is definitely going to be a deck you're going to see at ARG, I imagine. I believe, I think it's fair to say Metalborgs will be there. Metalborgs are definitely, you know, nothing to mess with all of their abilities to give Sinbuster power to get that magic number of 30k, so he does get that Glory Maelstrom effect, is really good. Now, you know, the only difference between him and CEO is he doesn't carry a crit, you know, but he does have that on-hit draw ability if his power is 20,000, which is real easy if he's in Legion. So, I mean, so... Metalborgs are out, guys. In my opinion, they are a solid Tier 1 and 1.5 deck. Tier 1, if played right, I guess. in my honest opinion, I don't like Black Boy. That's just me. I think you sacrifice way too much with that card. You know, but it's player preference. You know, it's how you want to play the deck, so it doesn't really matter. You know what I want? You know, I mean, I'm going to be building this deck, so once I have it finished, I'll show you my version of the deck and explain my choices, but as far as the deck goes, it does create a lot of draw power. It does have the glory skill, so it does have that to its fact that to deal with. But you know, my best piece of advice is do not ride Sin Buster in early game. You know, unless you just want to build up advantage. You know, but I like Dryon, the double rare Metalborg that came in set 17. I like that better for the early stage of the game, so you can just swing for 30 plus a crit real easy, and then ride into Sin Buster when they're at 4 or 5 damage. So Sin Buster, Metalborgs, you know, so they're a thing. Solid tier 1.51 deck. You just got to know how to play against them. So they're definitely a thing. So be on the lookout for Metalborgs and that glory effect. Next, we're going to talk about just Starvaders in general. Starvaders, now, I'm going to cover mainly the Zodiac Imaginary Plane decks that you're going to see. There's another version of Zodiac that I'm going to build, and I will show it to you guys when I get it done. But they're still going to be there. Starvaders are always going to be a thing. The locking and the what I call defensive control is always going to be a thing. Link Joker is only going to get better as time goes on, or I guess that's the same with any clan, but set 17 gave Link Joker a big boost, you know, and there's another deck here in a second we'll talk about, and you can probably guess what that is. Zodiac and Plane are both very good. Venom Dancer is, yeah, you know, do not sleep on Starvaders. They are a thing. They are still out there. They are a threat. Link Joker is one of the I guess you could say one of the better clans just because of their ability to lock and control the field. So do not sleep on Link Joker. You know, so they are still out there, so be aware. Next, we're going to talk about a deck that, you know, is probably pissing a lot of people off, and for a lot of reasons. So if you can tell just by you probably know what deck I'm talking about just by looking at this card, and it's Cat Raisers. Now, okay, here's my honest opinion of the Cat Raiser deck. In my honest opinion, and this is coming from, you know, me playing against the Cat Raiser variant, playing against Razor decks, and a Razor deck that ran no Cat Butler. If I was building the deck, I personally like the deck better with no Cat Butler. Because by playing the Cat Butler, you limit your grade 1s, you limit your grade 2s, and you limit your grade 3s. You basically have to minus everywhere in the deck in order to have Cat Butler. Now, don't get me wrong, the Cat Raiser deck is scary. Because if your opponent is sitting here with Mega Flare and they have Cat Butler here, it does you pretty much no good to block unless you have to. The secret against this deck is you have to guard early. You have got to stay at low damage. You do not want them to push you to 3 or 4. You know, 3 I guess you can manage, but 4 is not okay. The problem is when your opponent drops a Cat Butler, that's when it's like, well, as much as you want to guard it, that might be the time when you just have to take it and live with the result. Because when you start trying to guard Mega Flare, that's when he gets dangerous. But Cat Butler, in my honest opinion, the Razor deck works better without him because it gives them more of a full board presence, and I think it just makes the deck better. That's my opinion. Now I'm not saying that the Cat Butler deck is still not good. The Cat Butler deck is amazing. Cat Raisers is very good deck, and you're going to see it at ARG if you do go to the ARG event. I promise. But you know, it's just not for me, honestly. You know, but it is going to be out there, and you just got to know how to deal with it. But Cat Butler and Mega Flare together are a pretty devastating pair for the simple fact being, oh, I didn't hit, retire. Oh, here's my... I have Mega Flare. Here's Cat Butler. I attack. Oh, I didn't hit. Stand back up. You know, it is pretty... it is pretty stupid, guys. So, Cat Razor is a thing, and it's going to be around for a while until Bushiroad does the right thing and just gets rid of this card. I mean, in my opinion, this is more broke than Barkle, and I think Barkle should be legal. So, you know, but Cat Razor is a thing, so be on the lookout for it and just be ready. Next, we're going to talk about Brawlers. Now, Brawlers, in my opinion, are still a very good deck. I think this deck doesn't honestly get the appreciation it deserves because it was basically shoved to us, you know, in set 16 as an afterthought, you know, because this is what really pisses me off about Bushiroad is Season 4 for us, for the English meta, was pretty much all thrown at us in a matter of about 4 months, and they didn't give us any time to experience it like Japan did. And, you know, they basically just said, here, have the entire Brawler deck. Here, have the entire Seeker deck. Here, have the... You know, I mean... we didn't get to evolve through the game. Like, here, have Glare, you know, at first. Don't start with Core and then work your way to Glare. Start with Glare. That made Core pretty much worthless here in America. You know, but, Brawlers, in my opinion, you can build this deck for really cheap. And the only Crossride Legion out there, you know, that can, you know, essentially wipe your opponent's board for nothing, barely, you know, a counterblast of 1 and a grade and basically shoving a grade 3 in the soul. You know, you know, this deck is, I think it's fair to say you will see this at ARG. It is a very good deck when played correctly. So, be on the lookout for it. The ability to attack 4 units at once is very devastating, no matter what deck you face. I would say decks like Glare and Musketeers are going to have the most problem with it, because they're just going to essentially just keep wiping your board every turn. But that doesn't mean that this deck can't be beat, because it can. You just need to be on the lookout for it, because... Brawlers, in my opinion, you know, some people say Eradicators are better than Brawlers, and that's your right to have that. It's, you know, it's an opinion, but I think the Brawlers are a lot better than people give them credit for. So, so if you do see the Brawlers, just be prepared to deal with Field Wipe, you know, and, you know, a big body to have to guard against, because keep in mind, during your turn, if they have, you know, wait, where'd he go? The first Big Bang in the Soul, he's a 13k body, so that means you're going to have to hit 18 just to hit him, you know, for the magic number. So just be cognizant of that and that change, and then when they attack you, it's going to be attacking for at least 22 if they have that in the Soul as well. So just make sure that you understand that and you're aware. So, now, the next deck we're going to talk about, ironically, is the deck I just mentioned a second ago, which is Glare. Now, this is definitely still a deck that is still very viable. Gold Paladin is the master of Swarm, and this deck is not going anywhere. I still think Glare is very, very good. There is one small problem with Glare, though, and that is, say you're playing against someone and they don't have a grade 3, and they just decide to go with a grade 2 Swarm, and say you ride Glare. Glare is kind of hard to... Glare is kind of in trouble when he can't Legion, because basically all his power comes from his Legion, you know, so if you can't, and Glare, you know, being able to swing with an extra crit plus the glory effect, it's essentially really, really busted, you know, especially if you can stick a Bruno behind him and hit 33 plus. I mean, it's real easy with this deck to literally just get a chain of superior calls off, have a Bruno behind this, and just hit 30, 33, 36, 39, 42, 45, and it can't be nullified. So it is definitely a threat, so be prepared to deal with Glare, and be prepared for huge numbers. So Glare is a solid tier 1 deck, you know, so, or tier 0 even. I'd probably say it's a tier 0 deck. Just be prepared to deal with it. Best thing I can tell you is guard early. Do not let them build up too big of a field, because you do not want Glare to have extra units to sack off to superior call something else. So just be cognizant and just watch your opponent's hand size, you know. Just don't let Glare, you know, beat you down. So next thing I'm going to talk about is Seekers. Now, Seekers, you know, their hype has gone down a little bit because 17 has dropped. Because you know, we got new things out now. Now, I still love Seekers. I'm not doing anything with my Seeker Royal Paladin deck. I'm keeping it because I'm just glad that, you know, this deck finally came out. Do not think for a minute that Seekers are still no longer viable, because they are. I personally think Thinksaver is still very viable. You know, it does have its obvious weakness of, you know, Link Joker really hurts this deck, you know, but it is still viable in a lot of other matchups. I think it's actually has the edge in Abyss matchups, because you can get the 3 attack combo off, but I don't think this deck is going anywhere. I think it's still a threat. I think it's still going to be a deck that might pop up at the ARG this weekend. So, I mean, the ability to get multiple attacks off, or the ability to just swing, you know, in the high 30s with a crit is, it is a thing. So you just have to be, it is a thing. So you just got to be prepared for it. And just be aware of it, and just make sure that you're ready to deal with it. And not, you know, and just, you know, that's the #1 thing you have to be right now, is just be aware of, you know, what's going on, you know, what your opponent's planning to set up. So, Thinksaver and Alfred decks are still out there. They're still going to be viable, so do not think for a second that if you say you have the Thinksaver deck finally finished and 17 came out so quick and you're like, crap, now I have to buy another deck. Do not give up on the Seekers. They are still viable. So if you you should play what you like playing. If Seekers are what you really like playing, then keep playing Seekers. Do not let, you know, me or someone else tell you that they are not, even though I wouldn't say it because I love Seekers. Do not let someone else tell you that Seekers are less of a deck now because 17 dropped. So now, a deck that I didn't talk about a bit ago when I was talking about Starvaders, Blaster Joker. Now, Blaster Joker, this deck has a lot of pros and it has cons too, just like every deck does. Now, Blaster Joker, it is a very, it's a weird deck because I mean, okay, Blaster Joker, here's the problem that I have with it. It has a trouble with the early game rush, because you have to ride your other grade 3, which generally people are using Garnet Star, because it doesn't require Counterblast, because this deck is very Counterblast heavy, because Blaster Joker costs 2 to activate. So you use Garnet Star to set up a lock, so you can get your locks off for free, and you can then search out Blaster Joker. but it's good because it busts up legions. Like, it goes, okay, you have a legion here, I retire your legion mate, and now if you want to re-legion, you have to ride another copy of that grade 3 just to legion again. So it is a pain to deal with, you know, if sprung at the right time. Blaster Joker, in my opinion, is very easy to play wrong. I think, you know, some people might, you know, they may not have thought about all the thought process that goes into playing Link Joker. Because Link Joker really is a complex clan. You have to know when to lock, what to lock, how to lock, and things like that. So, Blaster Joker is a thing. It's going to be there. I guarantee you it's going to be at the ARG. It is a very defensive deck because, essentially, he's going to make your field entirely worthless. He's going to lock your entire board and blast away your Legion mate. And he's going to be running Volt Line and Brave Fang and Osmiums to Omega Lock your things. So he can put you in the lock script for a while. You just have to play it smart, last him, you know, and just deal with it. That's the best way to do, because once they counterblast all their cards, Blaster Joker is kind of in trouble. You know, now he can still last, you know, by having a Maron on board and swing for 30 plus if he has a boost, but Blaster Joker is what it is. It is a solid tier 1 deck, you know, because it busts up legions, but it is a threat. It is one of the better decks out right now, and it is probably the best Link Joker deck to play right now as well. So it is definitely a threat. So just, if you haven't play tested against this deck yet, I would find someone that has it and ask if you can have a few practice matches before the ARG, because this is a deck that you do need and want to have a couple hands against before you come across it in tournament play. So this will be at the ARG, so if you do see it, just, you know, just be aware. And for the last deck that we're going to talk about, you can probably predict it if you know me, and that is Perditions. Now, Perditions, in my opinion, this deck is about as close as perfect as you can get. It's very rare that both of your boss monsters in a Legion deck are both insane. Like, I think Thingsaver and Alfred together are probably the closest, you know, to this, because you have two different legions. You have one that lets you destroy 2 of your opponent's rear guards. Your opponent takes a damage, that trigger does not activate, and your legion gets stronger. And then you have another legion that's classic Overlord. It attacks a rear guard and then stands right back up. So Kagerose does what Kagerose is always best at, blowing up fields and playing a heavily controlling board style. So if you do come across Kagero, do not grow attached to too many of your rear guards. They're probably not going to last. Kagero is a master of manipulating the field. You know, it's up there with Link Joker. But Kagero, this Glare, Link Joker, this Blaster Joker, Glare, and Razors, in my opinion, are the top 4 decks out right now. That's probably the tier 0 decks, in my opinion. You know, because those are the 4 right now that just have the most power, you know, and the most hype behind them as the top decks. So, but I mean, this deck can push it. It pushes so much pressure that sometimes there are certain decks that just can't deal with it. So if you do come across Kagero Perditions, you just have to be aware of you just have to be aware of the skills, and it's the same with any of these decks. So just kind of lay out all these decks again. Whoop. There goes Sendbuster. So here's pretty much all the decks that we talked about. You know, I hope you got something out of this. I hope that you, if you're going to be competing at the ARG, maybe you learned something about a deck, or maybe how to play against it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. You know, I hope I was able to give you, I think all of these decks will be seen at ARG. I think all of these decks that you see here in front of me are going to be options that people are going to be playing at ARG, so you do need to be aware of it, and just have a general knowledge of what all the decks do. So I hope you did get something out of this. So anyway, guys, I guess that concludes the video. So if first off, guys, you know, I'm sorry again that I've been so busy, but I'm finally starting. Things are hopefully going to start calming down now, so I can start doing this again more, because I did honestly miss making videos for you guys. So if you are going to be at the ARG, please come up to me and see me, to trade, to card fight, to talk, to shoot the breeze, whatever. Also, remember, if I owe you a prize contest, please email me and tell me what I owed you, so that way I can then, and we can figure out if you want still what you wanted, or if you want something, one of the new prize packs, we can do that. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for your patience. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I'm going to get back to making videos here, guys. I hope you will still continue to give me suggestions on videos to give. I'm going to be doing some more. These are going to be uploaded soon, right after they're recorded. So thank you very much for always giving me your support, guys. It means an awful lot, and I promise that I will get back on the ball making videos. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure you comment, subscribe, thumbs up this video, leave all your comments and video suggestions down below, and I'll see you next time.